Hello and welcome to Hank Games Without Hank. It's me, your host, John Green. We are in the Euro League today. The Swindon Town Swoodly Poopers qualifying for European play. There is other John Green. That kid could use a haircut, let's be honest about it. Today we are playing FC Twente. Twente. I don't know how to say it. It's Dutch. For those of you who don't know, we're in white today, the Swoodly Poopers. And I am going to tell you the story of Fat Lucas. I'm telling you this story because I got an email from my assistant coach yesterday. For those of you who've never played FIFA, you get emails from your coach, and your coach tells you how your players are doing, and sometimes they get better and sometimes they get worse. And Fat Lucas started out as a 64 in terms of his quality as a goalkeeping. That's out of 100. And he's now down to a 60. He just, according to my assistant coach, keeps getting worse and worse. But according to me, John Green, all he gets is better and better. I couldn't love the kid more, and I love him for his hustle. But the reason I think that he's probably struggling in terms of his numerical thing is the alcoholism. For those of you who don't know, and probably none of you do, so Fat Lucas grew up in England. He's English by nationality, and he is a Speaking of Fat Lucas, I'm going to need you now. I need you now more than ever. Other John Green very upset. What? Don't give S. Cuthbert a red card. I don't see that as a red card. Admittedly, oh boy. Okay. All right, Fat Lucas. It's your time, baby. It's your time. It's your time, Fat Lucas. Do it. Do it. Yes! Fat Lucas with the great save. I mean, that was a terrible penalty, but yes, Fat Lucas. Great save. So Fat Lucas is English. He grew up going to, like a lot of kids, just playing a lot of football, and he's always on a club team. Came up in the Liverpool system, actually, got released fairly early on in his career. Just was clear that he wasn't ever going to be, a Premier League type goalie. He was a big kid, so he got made fun of a lot for his size. Bigger than most keepers. Keepers are supposed to be, agile and fit and everything, and they're supposed to have these instantaneous reflexes. And Fat Lucas's strategy has always been, you know what, I'm going to try to fill the goal with my girth so that I don't have to move much. Kind of like a hockey goalie. Great save by Fat Lucas. The kid is unstoppable. Probably should have cleared it there. My bad. I'm making things hard on Fat Lucas. They need to be. Plus, I'm only playing with 10 players. So, when you grow up ridiculed constantly about your size and told that you're not a real keeper, but you can't be a real keeper because you're bigger than all the other goalies, and it's hard. And he wasn't a great student. He's not, to be frank with you, an intellectual. You're not going to hear Fat Lucas quote after a game where he's talking about his play. Kid's not going to talk about Machiavelli. Not going to be discussing anything too complicated, because that's not his. That's just not where he came from. That's not his world. That's not where his passions are. He's truly passionate about football in the way that great keepers generally are, I think. Oh, other John Green, you had a great opportunity there. That was a nice release. And I'll remind you, by the way, that the Swoodly Poopers are down to 10 men, and yet we are still holding our own against FC Twente, a far superior team. Yikes! And he missed the goal. Thank God. I'm sure Fat Lucas had it covered. Let's look again. Definitely had it covered. You can tell Fat Lucas had the whole goal covered there. So anyway, when Fat Lucas was 16, he stopped going to school and started playing football semi-professionally for one of these non-league pub teams. And he's always been a good keeper, great distributor of the ball. I mean, even better as in some ways even better as a the goalkeeper in some ways is the first person involved in the attack, right? Because he distributes the ball, he gets possession going, and that was always Fat Lucas's strength. He could always kick it far. Had a great drop kick, and but as he went along, it turns out he's pretty good at this game. But when you're playing for these pub teams, it's every day after after practice, after games, sometimes during games, like you're just drinking. Like that's the culture of these of these pub teams. They're sponsored by bars essentially, and one of your essential responsibilities as a player is to indulge that. And Fat Lucas, who's to say what the cause was? But Fat Lucas definitely developed a problem pretty quickly. He was bigger than he needed to be. Let's say it's 0-0 at halftime here at the Swindon Town Swoodly Poopers. He's bigger than he needed to be, and because of the beer weight. And he look at this great save, just calm, cool, collected, great stuff. And then failure to finish by other John Green, probably still distracted by the long-term injury of his husband, Bald John Green. But we're hoping the Swindon Town Swoodly Poopers can come out with a win here in the second half, because our future in Europe depends upon it, and this is really important to the financial future of the club, which is really important in terms of getting to the Premier League, because we need better players. One of the big problems that we have is that our players are not good enough at playing soccer. They're really interesting people with fascinating backstories, but they need to be better at soccer. Oh, no. Fat Lucas couldn't make a decision. Great save. And, oh, no! It's an own goal. That was off. Oh, the devastation. Let's look at the replay. I'm pretty sure that was off one of the 10 remaining men. Yep. Yeah. Nothing. I mean, there's nothing Fat Lucas can do about that, because it's basically just a deflection goal. That's tough that on the day I talk about him, he doesn't get a shutout, but that's probably going to make him feel worse about himself. I mean, but the great thing about Fat Lucas is that he's always been supremely confident in his abilities. So even, when it looked like he was never going to be able to play soccer for a living, he stuck with it and, worked his way into a League Two side that became a League One side, and then became a championship side. And he finds himself still the starting goalkeeper for still the starting keeper for the Swindon Town Swoodly Poopers, despite the fact that they are now, one of the 40 or 50 best clubs in all of England. And that's a tremendous success story. The unfortunate thing that's happened is that Fat Lucas has found it difficult, I think, in some ways, to deal with that success, to deal with the pressure of being, every day the #1 keeper for a club that, frankly, is pretty weak on defense and relies a lot on him to deliver the goods. And that has ultimately been the cause, I think, of Fat Lucas's struggles lately. He's sober, and he's been sober for a long time, and I have every confidence in his sobriety. And even when the assistant coach says, this guy isn't playing well, it doesn't make me think like, oh, well, Fat Lucas might have relapsed. I don't think that. I mean, this guy, I believe him when I trust him, in the way that you trust you trust people who are on a team with you, and I trust him as his manager, that he's being honest with me, and so I have absolute confidence in him. But at the same time, like, oh, God, Stone Cold Steve with the C. Austin, that was all you. Should have been a goal. Should have been a goal. Some of this stuff has just been tough to watch today. We're in the 72nd minute. We have a mere 18 minutes to try to get a draw here against FC Twente, which would be a good result, I think, at this point. Oh, come on. Be a good result. I'd definitely take it. I'm going to be honest with you. I mean, come on. Dang it. So anyway, Fat Lucas has been struggling a little bit, but we continue to think of him as our starting keeper, and I'm going to think of him as our starting keeper. This team has been built on loyalty, ultimately. I mean, that's a value that we got from Bald John Green, who could have left us for a much bigger club and chose not to. And that's something that we've taken all the way through our what has to be viewed as a difficult first season in the championship. I mean, our best player is injured. We've lost some important games. We lost in Notts County. We're in bad shape here against FC Twente. These are Dutch footballers. They're very talented, so I don't have there's no shame in losing this game. But it's frustrating. Obviously we'd like to be winning these. And I think initially after Bald John Green's injury, everybody kind of came together and was acting like we were going to be an even better team without him. But the truth is we're never going to be the same team without him, and that's just, that's being realistic. And but it's been hard on everybody, and I think that's a lot of what you see with Lucas. But even so, you have to think of Fat Lucas as one of the great players in the history of Swindon Town football. Oh God, I should have passed. I'm sorry. That's my mistake. 87th minute, I had a chance to tie it up, and I didn't do it. Fat Lucas saved a penalty in this game and kept us in it, but it doesn't look like it's going to be enough. Looks like the Swoodly Poopers are going to go home disappointed once again. Last game was a 0-0 draw. This time 1-0. We're having great trouble scoring, and that can only be because our scorer is Bald John Green. He's a finisher, and he's just not with us right now, and it's tough. It's tough. I'm feeling it, obviously. Come on, other John Green, other John Green, other John Green. Could it be? No! No! Oh, the devastation. Oh, what could have been? Other John Green with a last-minute breakaway. But he's distracted by thoughts of his injured husband back home and fails to score. That's the story of Fat Lucas. We lost to FC Twente. I don't know if that puts us out of Europe, but it puts us in trouble. Thank you for watching another episode of Hank Games Without Hank. Let me know what you want me to talk about, and I will see you next time. Actually, I won't see you, but you'll hear me next time. Best wishes.